In the bitter cold of northern Canada, a small Algonquin village nestled deep in the forest faced a harsh winter. Food was scarce, and the once bustling community had grown silent, its people too weary to speak of their struggles. One day, a young boy named Misko vanished while playing near the edge of the woods. Despite the villagers' efforts to search, no trace of him could be found. Among the villagers was Nikan, a seasoned hunter known for his skill and determination. Consumed by guilt for not finding Misko, Nikan vowed to continue the search alone. Armed with his bow and a meager supply of food, he ventured deeper into the forest than anyone dared to go. For days, Nikan wandered, the trees looming like silent sentinels. The further he went, the more the forest seemed to close in around him, as though it were alive. He heard whispers in the wind, indistinct murmurs that sounded like Misko's voice. Exhausted and hungry, he pressed on, convinced the boy was still alive. On the seventh night, as a snowstorm howled through the woods, Nikan found shelter in a cave. Inside, he lit a small fire and tried to rest. But just as sleep began to claim him, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was tall and gaunt, its skin stretched tight over its bones. Its eyes glowed with an unnatural light, and its breath came in icy puffs. Nikan recognized the creature from the stories his elders told. The Wendigo, a malevolent spirit that embodied greed, hunger, and cannibalism. The Wendigo spoke, its voice like the cracking of ice. "You seek the boy," it rasped. "I can return him to you, but it will cost you greatly." Desperate, Nikan asked what the price was. The Wendigo smiled, revealing sharp, yellowed teeth. "A piece of your soul," it said. "And a promise. You must bring me another in his place." Horrified, Nikan refused. But as the days stretched into weeks and his search yielded nothing, he began to reconsider. The Wendigo appeared to him again, as though sensing his resolve falter. "Accept my offer," it urged. "The boy is suffering. Would you let him die in the cold?" Overcome by guilt and the haunting image of Misko alone in the wilderness, Nikan finally agreed. The Wendigo extended its skeletal hand, and as Nikan grasped it, a searing pain shot through his body. He felt something being torn from him, a part of his very essence. The next morning, Nikan stumbled upon Misko, alive but strangely silent. The boy's eyes were hollow, and his once joyful demeanor was gone. Nikan brought him back to the village, where the people rejoiced at the child's return. But as the days passed, it became clear that something was wrong. Misko's appetite was insatiable, and animals around the village began to go missing. One night, the villagers awoke to screams. They found Misko crouched over a deer, tearing into its flesh with his bare hands. His eyes glowed like the Wendigo's, and his voice, when he spoke, was no longer his own. "You brought me here," he snarled at Nikan. "Now the curse is yours to bear." The villagers turned on Nikan, blaming him for unleashing the Wendigo's curse upon them. He fled into the forest, where the Wendigo awaited him. "You owe me another," it hissed, "or your soul will never know peace." From that day on, Nikan wandered the forest, haunted by the Wendigo and the weight of his choices. The villagers, too, were never the same. Their once thriving community reduced to whispers of a cursed hunter and the boy who became a monster.